Hello students. In this video I am going to discuss about the 7-step modeling process. This 7 step might be some persons can be say 4 step also, 5 step also. It might be different on different perspective. Uh, from the perspective of the book, we can discuss that there are 7-step modeling process. So we can go through this. First, we need to define the problem. So there might be lots of problem for a business organization, for different business organization. Like here you can see, yes, in the last video we have discussed about this algebraic model where these problem. So here you can see that this equation is maximization equation, max of this. So for a business organization, the problem might be different for with respect to the business procedure. So the problem, we need to define the problem, whether we need to maximize the profit, whether we need to maximize the storage, whether we need to minimize the loss. So there might be different kind of scenario for different kind of business. So it is very much important to define the problem first. For example, here you can see major cities. The experience of an analyst who was hired by the military to investigate overly long turnaround times. So see here, the problem is to investigate the overly long turnaround times. The military was convinced that times between fighter planes landing and taking off again to rejoin the battle. So I'm repeating, measure sites the experience of an analyst who was hired by the military to investigate overly long turnaround times between fighter planes landing and taking off again to rejoin the battle. So now you can see here the problem is to find that turnaround times and to minimize the turnaround times. So here you can see the constraints. Here if they were faster means, again if you can read here, the military was convinced that problem was caused by inefficient ground crews. Means if they were faster, turnaround times would decrease. So they need to decrease the turnaround times. So they need, for that case, they need to increase the ground crews which should be efficient enough. So this is the model for this, or this is the problem, the defined problem for this scenario. Okay, then after defining the model, we need to collect the data. Means here for the same example, we can see that before going to solve the problem, before going to know what is the problem or what is the solution for the problem, we need to analyze the whole situation. Means to know how much planes lands, to know how much it takes to again take off, and how many persons are involved in that process, and who are doing what, and who are taking what amount of time. Those everything are associated with this problem, with this turnaround time decreasing problem. So we need to collect all those data first. Means we need to create the data set, then we need to summarize this data, because all data need not or may not be well enough for the problem, or some data might be more redundant, or some data might be missing. So as a whole we need to collect, and we need to create the data very disciplined way, and we need to summarize those data so that in future, or to solve the problem, it can be used efficiently. And depending by creating those data warehouse for quantitative analysis, we can create a model. In computer science we can say that we need to create a training model, which will train the model will train upon those data, and depending upon those data we will devise the solution. So after developing the model, we need to verify the model. Means using some mathematical equation like ROC curve, or we can say false positive rate, or false negative rate, or true positive rate, or we can say successive rate, or we can say accuracy rate, or we can say recall, precision. Those are the terms can be found in mathematics to know or to verify a model. Means this model that we are training upon those data is correct or not. We need to verify that, okay, before applying on any real world scenario. Otherwise we might fail. So after verifying the model, we need to select one or more suitable decisions. Many but not all models are decision models. Obviously, when in this previous example also, we need to decide, or we need to find what is the cause, and what we need to decide. Cause is that inefficient flues. Now we need to decide we need to decide something about those cause. So for any specific decisions, the model indicates the amount of profit obtained, and the amount of cost incurred, the level of risk, and so on. So the model need to give answer on those areas, on those questions. So for a specific decision will lead to those data revelation. If the model is working correctly, then we can apply on a specific set of cases. Like we can present the results to organization. It means that we need to present the results, means we need to work the model on few numbers of samples, so that we can show or we can prove that completely that our model is working fine. After doing or after presenting the result to the organization, there might be some problem. Like unfortunately here you can see the people in management are sometimes not well trained in quantitative methods as analyzed, so they are not always inclined to trust complex models. Obviously that can happen. So there are two ways to mitigate this problem. First, it is helpful to include relevant people throughout the company in modeling process. Means they need to know what they are modeling. So it might that again that previous videos ideas comes out, like what type of model we need to choose. Do I need to choose algebraic model? Do I need to choose graphical model? Do I need to choose spreadsheet model? Because depending on that efficiency of the people to understand the model, to execute the model will come. So that is one Second, it helps to use spreadsheet model wherever possible, especially if it is designed and documented properly. So these are some suggestions. And at last, implement the model in real scenario and update it if there are some errors or some new modifications in the constraints. We need to update that model over time. So these are the main steps to build a model. To build a model to find a solution about a problem in business world. Thank you.